All right, this session will cover several ways to give the tenant credit that can be used to pay current and future charges. We're going to use a couple of examples. The first one, what we're going to do is we're assuming that the tenant, Guru, painted 2 bedrooms in the kitchen. The owners authorized us to give him $600 credit against his rent, $200 a month for the next 3 months. So what we're going to do is we're going to set up a recurring charge for a negative $200 for those 3 months. And the place that we do it is over in the profile, the tenant's profile. The tenant in this case is Guru, and there's a tab called recurring charges. Now normally recurring charges are charges against the tenant, which are charges that you expect him to pay. For example, trash reimbursement, parking space, things like that. In this particular case, what we're doing is a credit. If you're going to charge the tenant and the tenant is expected to pay it, it's a positive charge. If you do a negative charge, what happens is the tenant receives credit from either the owner or the management group, in this case the owner. And so we're going to put a charge in. The charge is going to be called painting. And what's going to happen then is when this particular transaction is posted, it's going to take $200 away from the owner and give $200 in credit to the tenant. The owner's ledger is going to have a transaction in it that says $200 expense for painting. And we want to do it for 3 months, so we'll put the minus $200 in first. And we're going to do it for 3 times, April, May, and June. So at the end of June, we don't want to do it for July. So we say the schedule expires on 6/30. That means it won't get charged for the month of July. And we should put a memo in. Anytime you do something like this, you should put a memo in. In this particular case, it's to reimburse the tenant for painting. Okay, when we go ahead and save this now, what's going to happen is the next time we charge the recurring charges, the tenant's going to get the credits. So when we do that in April, we do it at the same time we charge the rents. So under accounts receivable, scheduled receivables, recurring charges, and if we do the recurring charges for the month of April, so I have to make the date a day in April and compile that. Notice that these are the normal charges of trash removal reimbursement. Here's the charge that we put in, and what's going to happen is there's going to be a $200 painting. When we post this, the owner is going to have a $200 expense. So we'll go ahead and post that. And now if we go over to the profiles, the tenant profile for Guru, and look at the tenant history, the tenant has $200 in credits. If we look at the general ledger history for the owner, you notice that the owner has a $200 expense for painting. So that's how you give a credit for work that's done or for reimbursing the tenant for something. All right, the next example we're going to use is we're going to do the second exercise. Tenant Schrader signed a 1-year lease at $11.50 per month. Month 7 is going to be free. It doesn't make any sense to give month 1 free if you're given a free month's rent. The tenant leaves after the first month, he hasn't paid any rent. So we're given month 7 as a free month as an incentive for the tenant to rent. There are 2 situations. One is a management fee is going to be taken in month 7. And the second one is no management fee is going to be taken in month 7. We're going to do the first one first. So we're going to put the credit in so that the management fee is going to be taken in month 7 when the tenant pays no rent. So this is very similar to the one we did for Guro. If we go to profiles, the tenant profile for Schrader, and we do a recurring charge, and this particular charge is what we want to do is we want to give the tenant credit for rent, so we put the rent in as the charge. The amount is $1,150 minus $1,150 because we're giving credit, and it's only going to be done once, and it's going to be done in October. So October 1st of 2017 in this case, we're going to give the credit. It's a schedule. It's only going to be done one time, so the schedule is one time, and the memo that we put in reflects the reason we're doing it, and it's a rent credit on the 7th month per the lease. So rent credit per lease. And when we go ahead and save that, what's going to happen then in month 7, the owner is going to have a minus rent amount as an expense. The tenant's going to get $1,150 in credit. When the rents are charged, the $1,150 is going to go to the owner. The owner's going to get a plus $1,150 in rent. They're going to wash each other out, so the net is 0. And the management group is still going to get their management fee. Now, let's take the instance where there is no management fee. In that particular case, what you do then is you go to profiles, to the tenant profile, and the tenant is Schrader. And under the rent changes, what you would do is you would put effective on 10/1, the rent amount is going to be 0. And then effective on 11/1, the rent's going to go back to what it was, and what the rent was $1,150. So on 11/1, it's going to go back to $1,150. When we save this, then what's going to happen is that in the month of October, the tenant is not going to be charged rent. In the month of November, the rent charges are going to start up again at $1,150. So that's how you would give the tenant credit. In this particular case, there's no management fee being received. So there are a couple ways to give rent credits to the tenant. Appreciate you listening to this account. If you have any questions, please give the help desk a call, 800-397-1499, or send an email to training or support@promise.com.